Welcome to the Diary of a Side Hustler podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Brooks. Let's get into today's episode. Whether pursuing a passion project or passive income, over 40% of Americans have a side hustle. The Diary of a Side Hustler shares the personal stories of small business owners who turned their passions into an opportunity for profit while balancing life, multiple jobs, and everything in between. Today, I am joined by Montez Hymon. Montez Hymon, also known as Chef Tez, is a 27-year-old executive private chef based in Charlotte, North Carolina. From a young age, Montez found joy in the kitchen cooking alongside his mom, where together they would explore his grandmother's recipes, which developed a love for culinary arts that helped shape his career path. As the founder and full-time executive chef of Chef Tez Catering, Montez specializes in upscale, in-home private dining, private catering, personal catering for professional athletes, and private jet catering services. His journey to success has been marked by hustle and hard work, promoting his business by handing out business cards, creating his own networking opportunities, and passionately advocating for himself while working other jobs. With 6 years of business under his belt, Chef Tez has built an extremely profitable private catering company that brings upscale private dining experiences to a variety of families and clientele. Chef Tez, welcome.
Can I give you a round of applause for that?
I'm glad you
That
liked
was the
it.
interview right there.
Firstly, welcome. Super excited to do this here today. And just to break the ice, I'll ask, when you were younger and someone asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? What did you say?
My dreams was always, it was either this or it was playing football. That was the only two options that I gave myself. So it was either go to the NFL or it was become a chef and have a catering company. I had no idea how I was going to do either, but it panned out. It worked out for me.
Okay. Did you ever pursue football? Did you play?
I played a little bit in high school. Well, I played my whole life throughout high school. When it got to high school, it started getting real. And I didn't have the growth spurt that everybody else had.
How tall are you?
I'm like 5'11" on a good day.
On a good day, so really
on a good
5'10".
day.
So really 5'10".
I'm not the shortest guy. I'm not the smallest guy neither, but I'm not those guys. So, like,
Okay.
I was like, man, nah. It was just taking up all of my time. It was draining me. So I was just like, is this what I really want to do? What's the likelihood and chances that I'll be able to go off and be in the NFL? But I was just like, nah, let me jump head first into the cooking thing.
What was it, do you think, about being in the kitchen that excited you?
I don't know. I've always been a very intrigued and curious person. And it was just something that I was always interested in, just trying to figure out. I used to putting together puzzles, so seeing stuff from start to finish, I think was intriguing to me.
Okay.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I think it was just something I always was just infatuated with.
And then your grandmother had a catering business as well, right?
Yes, Miss Bernice Tolliver. My grandmother did have a small but successful catering company in Virginia, so that's where the roots of it was. So just growing up, digging through her recipes and stuff like that, I think that's where it really came from. My mom and my aunts and everybody on that side, they all say that we all have characteristics from my grandmother, and they was like, boy, that's your grandmother right there.
So it runs in the family. Your aunts cook too?
Everybody cooks. I grew up in a cooking family. My mom, my dad, everybody cooked in my family. I just was the one who was like, okay, I want to make this my profession. Yeah. My grandmother passed before I was born and before my siblings were born. People was like, they you act just like her in certain regards. She would go through magazines and everything and just get the itch for certain recipes and to do it. So she would spend all day cooking. Then she would clean up, put everything away, and go through that magazine. And they say it would be 11 o'clock, midnight sometime, and she would start back up again. And when I was younger, I would do that. When I would do it, I would just have this, it was like an itch. If you saw something in your head or you had a taste for it, I had to see it through. And that's the part where it's she used to do that exact thing. They was you got that exactly from her.
So you just wake up in the middle of the night and start cooking?
I wouldn't wake up in the middle of the night. It would be late. It would be times like even when I got a little older, like every time you come back from out and stuff like that, you'd had a few drinks. Like, man, I feel like making this. So it was times where my younger days and college days, like I would have like the midnight diner popping in the house and stuff like that.
So talk to me about college. Did you go to college and study something related to culinary, or what'd you study?
So originally my plan was to go to college, learn about business, and then from there,
air quotes.
Yeah, learn about business and then go to culinary school. But that's before I understood how expensive that plan was going to be. Mm-hmm. So I went to college. I went to Winston-Salem State University first. Didn't stay there long, had a great time. Then I transferred to North Carolina A&T. So I'm an Aggie pride. And was there just trying to figure it out, trying to learn business. And like I said, it didn't teach you what I thought it would have taught me. I remember like being in college looking at like HR jobs and looking at it now, it's like, boy, you wasn't doing no HR and stuff like that. But that was the plan. I went to school trying to figure out business. Then my plan was to go to culinary school afterwards, but it didn't quite work out like that. It kind of worked out a lot better than I expected.
Okay, so you mentioned that you would go out and people would come back and you would cook for people in college?
Certain times, yeah.
What was you making?
Whatever we had on hand, so pasta or chicken.
And you was giving out to the masses. Wow.
Not the masses. It'd be a small little group of friends, or some young ladies came over or something like that.
Not too much. Not too much. No, I'm joking.
So it wouldn't be the masses, but it was a group of friends. Or if we had like a little game night or something, my friends would be like, "If we go to the store and buy it, would you cook?" So stuff like that, but not the masses. No. My sister always says like, you have to be the host. So I always was like the friend who hosted and who's always like hospitality friend and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. So when you graduated college, did you go right into business? What was your plan? Did you have a job lined up, or how did that work?
So I didn't. Was just trying to figure it out. Like I was just lost in the sauce, I would say.
What does that mean? Take us there. This is a diary. We want the tea. What is lost in the sauce mean?
In college, I had that plan that I was going to go to school and I was going to figure out business, and it didn't work out that way.
What happened?
So
did you study business?
I studied business. So I was in school studying business entrepreneurship and business management. So I was thinking that you were going to get the blueprint to how to run a business, and that is not what happened.
That's not how school works. For real.
Yeah. I knew that I didn't want to go into the corporate side, like my transitioning out of college. I'm like, I don't think that's what I want to do. Okay. So I knew like, man, like I just got to figure out what I wanted to do. So the cooking thing really started coming back to me. And I started to do like sell little plates for a little minute.
You were one of them. No, I'm joking.
No shade to nobody, but I never wanted to do it. People would start asking me, like, can I buy plates? I'm like, no, I don't sell plates. And my brother was kind of like, man, you not working? You better do something. So I took.
Watch your mouth.
Yeah. And it was some of my friends that was telling me the same thing. So I took some of their advice and I started doing it. So I was in college and I actually put it together nice. I had like nice packaging. I ordered.
Oh, you were plating.
Yeah, it wasn't like plates with like foil over top or like the styrofoam things.
You didn't have styrofoam boxes?
Okay. So I was in Greensboro and it was a restaurant supply store literally right around the corner from where I live. So I discovered this place and I was going in there and I would buy like these packages in bulk. I would go to FedEx and get like my logo printed and I would put them on the boxes.
Oh, you were serious.
Yeah, so I would put them on the boxes. I had like little bags that I would order and stuff like that. So I was doing that, and then it kind of just slowly started transitioning to other stuff. So it went from the plates to people kind of like small businesses like, hey, can you like do some like trays for us? Okay. Then it went from some of the people like athletes at the school, like, hey, can you like meal prep for me? And like some trainers in the city asking like to meal prep for some of their guys and stuff like that. So I remember one week just doing like the plate thing. I made like $1,000 in a week.
Off plates?
And I did it for like 2 or 3 days. So yeah, it was like a light bulb moment. It was like, okay, if I can manage to do this, I only did it like 3 days this week.
That is absolutely insane. Especially you weren't doing crazy marketing either.
No, it was just, I think I may have just started an Instagram page for it. And it was just kind of word of mouth, like a lot of hungry, high college kids and stuff like that. And then the pandemic had hit.
Okay.
So it was around that time. So I knew, I was like, okay, if I can manage to make some sort of income like this every week or generate $3,000-$4,000 a month, I can make.
That's a solid living. Like we could
Yeah.
make something happen. Did you have any other jobs like prior to graduating college?
I always kept a job, kept a few dollars in my pocket. But throughout college, my dad was actually a bodyguard. So not a bouncer, and like
he was protecting people. Like he had private clientele.
Yeah. So throughout college, and actually just growing up, I was always helping my dad. But throughout college, I started getting a little older. He started getting a little older. So it would be times on the weekend where he would call and be like, hey, I'm going to Atlanta with such and such. Find a cheap little flight and meet me here. So
what were you doing? Like, did you carry a weapon?
Nah. I mean, it's been some interesting nights for sure. But I was more so like his manager, to say. He would have the big guys, and they would have the sprinters and the black trucks and stuff like that. And it's all just managing and moving correctly. Like, people would pay me, and I would allocate out the money to his guys and stuff like that. So I was like, he wanted me to be like his right hand man. So throughout college, you go and do that one weekend, and I mean, we was making some money, so that would hold me over for a couple weeks or something.
So you've been
like
a hustler.
Yeah, man, you got to.
Okay,
sure.
cool. So also the plates. I've seen a couple people do plates in college, and it was definitely in the styrofoam packaging. Okay,
Absolutely.
So what made you be like, nah, I'm gonna go to Restaurant Depot?
I didn't want that. Like I didn't want the styrofoam look, and like I just didn't want that. I knew I didn't. So I had to figure out like what's gonna separate me and let people know like I'm just not trying to stay in this plate lane. I'm actually trying to do something with it. So that was like the biggest motivating factor. And then just being privy to growing up what my dad did, we actually had a lot of exposure. So knowing how it's supposed to look too, like if you go to a nice restaurant, they're not handing you a styrofoam box. If you go to a nice restaurant, they're gonna go.
Ruth Chris would never. No.
They're gonna go and ask you, do you want this plated to go? And I just know what it looks like and what it needed to look like. So I think maybe a combination of not wanting to be stuck in that plate lane, and just knowing what, being exposed to what it's supposed to look like.
Okay, so a combination of you already had your little hustle, and I got this business degree that didn't teach me how to run a business, but it taught me enough.
Surprisingly, I didn't even finish school. I had one more semester.
Really? So you never actually received a degree?
Nope.
Okay.
Didn't even finish school.
Why didn't you do the semester?
Some things happened in my life, so I got into a bad car accident.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Some people passed away and stuff like that. I was in the car and I was hospitalized for a little minute, so it deterred me, and I kind of was like, I already got this going, and I just left it alone. It was a hassle getting back into school and the swing of things, so I had got this going, and I'm like, I'm gonna just keep going on this journey that I'm going on now.
So imagining that was probably a pretty rough and traumatic time.
Absolutely.
So what did it look like from, hey, I'm not going back to school and I'm figuring out my business?
I think I was procrastinating a lot at that time. And what that situation did was let me know that like we don't have as much time as we think we are. And you're here for a reason. So I think that was just like a motivating factor to me. Like, hey, just quit all the BS. You said you was going to do something. Let's get to it. Because I was in a bad shape. So it was like, you don't know how long you're going to be here.
What was bad shape?
I had tore like a colon line in my stomach. I like tore my MCL on my knee, had whiplash, tore my back up. Like it was a bad situation. I was in the passenger seat. So it was
Yeah, I can imagine. That's pretty tough. So how did you get bookings and things?
So it has started going. I start slowly getting booked. This is the very beginning of it. So like friends and people would ask me like, hey, we're booking like a Airbnb. Can you come and do like a brunch for us?
Okay.
Or like older couples would be, this was in the midst of the pandemic as well. So older couples would be like, it's me and my wife's anniversary. It's my wife's birthday. Can you come do a small little intimate dinner for us? So it had start going, but I had start getting booked and I had people's money. So that was like a motivating factor as well. Like, okay, get yourself together because
Yeah, they're paying you.
I can't really afford to give it back right now. So like, you got to get up.
It's actually already spent.
Back then, for sure.
Okay, so imaginably, you probably have to invest in some materials and supplies if you're now booking for groups. So how did that happen?
So every dollar I make, I don't look at the full dollar like it's mine. For every dollar you make in business, the full dollar is not yours. Mm-hmm. So the little money I did start getting, it was putting it back into the business. Okay, save this for this. You got to buy that, pay this, and that's what it is. So it was just slowly doing it like that. And I didn't move fast. It was just, if you got $1, take 50 cents of it and put it away. Take another 25 cents and put it towards this. And 25 cents put it towards this. That's how I started to gather supply and things like that. I was just slowly building.
Did you learn that from business school or did you learn that from being your dad's like business manager?
I think I just learned that in life. Business school didn't teach me that at all.
Okay.
I couldn't say my dad did, but I think I just learned it from life. Like, hey, I need some of this stuff, so you have to be responsible and allocate things.
Logically.
So I think that's what it was.
I know you also did take on a job at an actual catering company. When did that come in?
Maybe 6 months into things starting to kind of get rolling for me.
Why'd you choose to work at a catering company?
I knew I wanted to really further my craft. So my goal was to always go to culinary school, but I knew I didn't want to go to an actual school. So I actually had some chefs that I knew, and they kept on saying, you need to go get some restaurant experience or some culinary experience. They're like, you don't necessarily have to go to school, but you have to get some sort of experience. So I just start kind of looking at different avenues and catering company. I'm like, oh, this is kind of what I want to do. I might as well go learn the ins and outs of it. So I used to work for these big corporate catering companies. The things they used to cater, those big corporate events and those big banquets, 200, 300, 400 person things. And along the way, I had some great executive chefs that took me under their wing and taught me the way.
For people who don't know how the kitchen works, what's the executive chef?
He is the orchestrator of the operation. So that is he or she, I'm sorry. The orchestrator of the operation. So the executive chef may not even spend that much time in the kitchen. I remember for the catering company I was working for, I worked for two, but the most prominent one that I worked for, it was a female. Her fiance was like the executive sous, and he was the one I really had the relationship with. She came in, she kind of gave the game plan, and then it was kind of like office paperwork kind of stuff. But he was the one kind of hands-on, and he was really, really like a father figure to me. He was an older black guy in New York, and he really saw my skills and my talent and my drive, and it was like really school. So I like really got to give him a lot of thanks. He passed last year.
What's his name?
Chef Thomas. So that was my guy. He was hard on me too, but I needed it.
What is probably the biggest lesson you learned from Chef Thomas?
Patience. He gave me a book. It's called the Flavor Bible. So any chefs or even at-home cooks or anything like that, it is a great book to read. It's not an actual like word for word book. It's like pairing flavors with each other. Mm-hmm. So if you're trying to make some sort of holiday dish and you want something to pair well with rosemary, it'll go and give you like the pairings for it. So it's really like spark your thought. And that was like the greatest thing he gave to me. Like it really like sparks thoughts.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Is there any time he corrected you?
Absolutely.
That you remember? This is a diary. We want the tea. What happened?
Absolutely. So he would make me think out the whole process. So it was like, it was a dish, and he would sit there and say, okay, this the base of it. This is somewhat of how it's supposed to look. let's create it. So what you think the start process is? He really has so much patience. I'm not a very patient person. So it was like every day I would come into the kitchen and they would do all kind of stuff from different kind of cultures and nationalities. So it would just be like, okay, this is the base of this dish. Let's start. What we go start with? What do you think this needs?
Do you have any dish in particular you remember?
I think my favorite, it was a sauce that we used to always make. It was like a peppercorn au pois sauce. So it's a French sauce. Au pois. Yeah. So it's like a cream sauce. We used to always do that. It was a citrus beurre blanc that we would do.
I don't know what that is, but keep going.
It's like a lemon butter sauce with white wine.
Okay, I'm into it.
So stuff like that. It was sauces that we used to make. He would just like see where I was at with certain dishes. I remember he tried me over my crab cakes one time. I'm a crab cake guy.
Okay, so, me too. I'm from Maryland. I love me a crab cake.
Yeah, we So he tried me over that. So he made me do out my whole thing, and he was just like, "What you think you missed?" And if I missed something, it was like, "Okay, let's do it over." Like it was stuff.
You gotta do the whole thing over.
Yeah. It was.
What'd you miss?
Like herbs. Like herbs or a little touch of or like lemon zest. You didn't zest the lemon.
Yeah, you gotta have the zest. Okay?
Yeah, so,
it makes a difference. That's the difference between Ruth Chris and Longhorn. Okay,
hey,
no, I'm joking.
Hey, you talking now? But yeah, it was so much game that he would give and stuff like that. He would just sit me down, and it was really like I couldn't get that experience going to school, I don't think. Just the personal experience that we had. And we became actually good friends. So they started traveling and everything like that. They left the company, started working for another company, traveled. And I actually went and traveled with them for a hot second. We would go have dinner and stuff like that. And we would just chop it up, chef talk. So like we would just sit there, and if you was at the table beside us, you'd be like, I don't know what they're talking about. Like it sounds like another language.
The Aubon Pond. Okay, cool. So were you still doing your own catering business while you were also working? How did that work? So
I let them know from the jump when I got hired. I'm like, look, I'm here to learn. I already got something going for myself. When I'm here. I'm going to give y'all all I got. But y'all not paying me what these other people paying me. So they respected that. I was very transparent from the beginning, letting them know that. And they respected it. It was just like, this is my availability. This is when I could work. This is when I was here. And I'm doing that when I'm not. So it wasn't really a big issue. And they knew. They didn't own the company. So it was like, go get your...
They was hustlers too.
They were super hustlers. Just working in the kitchen. It don't matter if you're a cook, a chef, any sort of restaurant job, hospitality, catering. It is a different level of grind that you got to have. So that's the thing that people don't know. It is a different beast. Like, I think we age in dog years because, for real, it's a different grind.
Take us to the kitchen. What happens in the kitchen? We don't know. I don't know what happens to the kitchen. I'm always at the table just waiting for my food. Be like, what's taking so long?
It's a lot of prep that has to be done. It's a lot of sourcing. It's a lot of planning. It's a lot of orchestrating. It's a lot that has to be done just for that 2-second glimpse that you get when it first hits the table. Like, people don't understand what it takes. So like when people see the pretty picture or whatever that we post, I'm like, yo, it took days to get to this point. Wow. Yes, from either if you're we go use you as an example. If you're having a birthday dinner, okay, we're having birthday. You're having a birthday dinner. You're having 20 people, right? Okay. Nate, what would you
I'm
like?
a pescatarian, so okay. I'm definitely gonna have. If it's brunch, we're definitely feeling.
Let's go dinner. Okay.
If I'm feeling fancy, maybe sea bass.
Okay, perfect.
I'm doing sea bass. I can do either broccolini or asparagus.
Okay, let's do that. So, do you know where to get sea bass from right now?
No.
Exactly. So, a lot of people see that stuff. So, things have to be sourced. It has to be ordered. So, it's a lot of calling around. Things have to be in season. So, it's a lot of calling around to our seafood guys or to our butcher shops, seeing what they have in. Sometimes it's hard for them to get it. Like when it storms and stuff like that, and they're like, our fishermen can't get out there. So, they're charging more to get that.
Wow.
Or then you got to call around and source from different places. Okay, They want $29.99 per pound. I need 16 pounds of this. Let me see if I can call and get it for $26 a pound here.
Wow.
Okay, they got it. Can I get it shipped like tomorrow? You got to pay premiums or got to go get it.
Wow.
So before you even get the stuff, it's a hassle trying to even figure out where to get it. Being here in Charlotte, getting a lot of stuff, some stuff that's on our menu and stuff like that, it's not the easiest all the time. So then once you get it, it has to be prepped. It has to be washed, clean, cut, marinated, stored correctly. Then we have to travel to wherever we're going, and it has to be executed.
Okay.
It has to be served.
Can't forget the zest.
You got to zest it.
Do not forget my zest.
You got to clean up. You got to travel back to wherever you came from. So it's a long process. You got to do it over again.
Is that why restaurants be having market price for the fish?
That's exactly what that means.
They didn't want to reprint the menu, so they just put market price.
No, it's just things change. Things change. So if you're talking about like lobster tail, if it's in season, it's probably not as expensive as it is out of season, because certain stuff you can only fish during seasons and stuff like that. So whatever the market price is at the time, and depending on what the market looks like, things are a lot more expensive. So I don't want to tell you it's this much and it's really twice as much as it really is.
I learned something new. Okay, so did you learn how to source from being in that company, or did you already kind of know how this worked?
That was one of the biggest things, source and preparation.
Okay.
I'll tell a funny story. My executive sous chef, Chef Jay, that's my guy, my right-hand man. I remember we did an event years ago, and he came to the house with like grocery bags. Like he had it in like cooler bags. And I was like, bro, you don't have nothing prepped? And he was like, no. And I'm like, bro, this is going to take us forever. Nothing is prepped out. Man, when I tell you that took us forever that day, man, we made such a mess. It was crazy. But that was the importance.
What were y'all making?
I couldn't even tell you. It was for a client of his back in the day. It was for her husband's birthday or something like that. But it was a lot of food that we had to make. But it was nothing prepped out. So I'm like, you don't have nothing washed, clean, seasoned, nothing. It was just, and it's a mess in people's house to have that much stuff as well. So I'm thinking of the perspective of if it's your house and you walk in, you see like it's craziness. You're like, okay, that's probably not the best experience. But that came to the importance of having stuff prepped out. And I had to learn that in the catering companies and stuff like that. So I tease them to this day about that still.
Well, y'all both learned, so.
We learned, and we do much better now.
Okay.
much better.
So was business still booming, or did you take a step back while you're now working this other catering company to learn?
No, I was building, and it was booming. It was growing at that time, but I didn't take a step back during that time. I was really trying to further it around that time. So things where it was growing, and it was growing fast at that point as well.
What is fast? Because I mean, if you making $1,000 a week, that's fast to me. Like first time out the gate.
It was fast. It was just learning everything, and it was learning and applying at the same time. So like you learn it and you gotta apply. Word of mouth. It was picking up. It was picking up. So my goal was, like when I first started, it was like if I can get booked once a week or once every weekend, that was the goal. So by that time, it was multiple times a week, or I was in that strive already. So it was growing fast. My journey was very fast compared to others, I would say.
Most businesses actually fail within the first 2 years. Do you remember your first 2 years?
Absolutely. It was a grind. It was a grind, and that was in the back of my head as well. Not wanting to fail. But yeah, it was just a learning experience. Not even from the cooking aspect or the culinary aspect, just the business aspect. Learning how to manage funds and learning taxes and marketing and tax write-offs.
Do you remember what your revenue numbers were looking like your first 2 years?
Where my what numbers were?
Your revenue numbers.
Oh boy.
You don't have to share. You don't have to share.
I remember.
But if you were to
I'll tell you my first year or two. I'll tell you that.
You don't have to tell us now. We're not going to pocket check you. But if you want to share like the first 2 years, just because a lot of businesses do fail, the first 2 years, a lot of people are still figuring out, but you were actually profitable your first 2 years, which is a huge accomplishment.
Slightly profitable. I was making revenue, but again, I was putting a lot of it right back into it. My first year, I scratched like 65 grand my first
year. In the first year?
Somewhere around there.
That is absolutely insane.
I didn't think, see, I had a high standard for myself. And like I said, I didn't feel like it because I was still figuring out money management and things of that nature. And it didn't feel like that because my first like 2 years of business, I had nothing to show for it. I think that was the most draining part. Like, you work so hard. And it's like, financially, I didn't have nothing to show for it. Don't get me wrong. I was making money and my life started getting better. But it was just like, I don't have like a nest egg. Like, I'm working too hard. And I'm like working for every dollar I'm making. So that was my biggest goal, to like get out of that habit right there.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. So when did you when did you and your executive sous chef start working together? Were you still working at the other catering company, or that came a little bit after?
I think I had maybe just stopped by then. That's when things were like really picking up, and I just devoted all of my focus into that. My clientele started to elevate. Again,
what is elevate? That's such a posh word. Not that it grew, but it elevated.
It elevated because
it's giving private catering company.
Absolutely,
what does it elevate?
They give you that, yeah.
a little zest.
I think acquiring a private chef isn't something you do every day, and it's not for everybody. It's not trying to make it sound bad or anything.
Go ahead
like
and flick
that.
real quick. Go ahead and flick real quick.
It's just it's not for everybody. It's not something that the normal person can afford on an everyday basis or at all sometimes. We have a lot of clients that do things for birthdays and things of that nature, but I knew I needed a clientele base that was going to be consistent, that could truly afford our service and truly understand what it was that we were doing. Somebody who was privy enough to have a chef before or to dine in these kind of places and things of that nature. So I started having executives or presidents of this or certain athletes. I remember, I think this was maybe the first or second time me and Chef Jay worked together.
After the grocery bag situation?
Yeah, this is after the grocery bag situation.
No shade, Chef Jay.
Oh my God.
I don't want no smoke.
Man, he know how disappointed I was with that. But I remember it was a retired NFL guy, and he had made great money. And I remember we came to his house and it was like a castle. Like, they had a chef's kitchen and
not the family kitchen, the chef's kitchen.
Yeah, like a butler's closet, chef kitchen. It was literally like his house was like a castle. Like, it was tucked off back in like Waxhaw, gated community. Like, you had to buzz in the gate, security gate and stuff like that. And it was like, okay, this is the clientele that I've been shooting for. And it started becoming more consistent. So by that time, I had transitioned out of the catering company and everything like that.
How did you get a client like that?
I think word of mouth, marketing it the correct way, and I think just putting yourself in the right situations, just right place, right time kind of situation.
What does that mean? What's the right place, the right time?
Going back to what my dad did, it exposed me not only to where these people hang out at or where you find certain clientele. And it's not about finding clients. You have to position yourself to where the clients find you. So where are these people looking? Who are they asking and stuff like that? I'll give you an example. We have great clients now. I got a client, my guy, he's like a mentor of mine, but he has season floor tickets to the Hornets, like floor courtside seats, Hornets games for the season. He, for maybe 2-3 seasons, he wasn't even here half of the time. So we would go 20 games a season, stuff like that. But it was just like, okay, we're on the court. You don't know who you're next to. But it's even going deeper than that. Okay, when it's halftime, it's an exclusive bar and stuff like that. So I would have on some Chef Tez stuff, and it would spark conversations. And even going like as detailed as like, okay, where am I going to park my car? I'm not going to just go to the parking deck. Park your car where you think your clients are parking your car. So while we're in valet, I'm giving business cards, having conversations and stuff like that. And I've acquired clients just being a valet at the same time.
Yo, you be hustling for real.
It's deep. You got to be like...
Yo, you be hustling for real.
You got to be diabolical about it a little bit. Like, you have to be strategic like that. Like, we're not going... It's just, if you want the ordinary client, do the ordinary thing. Mm. So you have to do the out of the ordinary. You have to do the exclusive stuff. So
come on, Bishop. Come on, Bishop.
So yeah, it was a lot of that. So you finding clients in that regard, and once you get in like a circle, you get going. So just relationships. We're out at the lake. We pretty much live at the lake in the summer. Anybody who keeps up with us, Lake Norman is my favorite place to go. I was just there last night.
Searching for new clientele, or were you?
No, we were at dinner last night.
Oh, okay.
But once you get in that circle, once you get in certain neighborhoods, they're like, "Hey, we had Chef Tez over last night," and they're at the golf course, and they're saying, "Hey, Chef Tez is coming over for," and it just starts to spread. Like, I've gotten calls from like magazines that run in those neighborhoods and stuff like that. So once you get your foot in the door, it'll naturally start growing once you get your foot in the door that you're shooting to get into.
So my question for you is, a lot of your business marketing sounds like word of mouth, which is very different than, I think, the common culture of social media and marketing and things like that. What is your perspective on your marketing strategy and what has proved to be most beneficial for you?
I think that word of mouth, actually going and networking and shaking hands.
So you old school?
Yeah, I do have old school ways when it comes
That's
to...
That's my girl, Big B.
I do have old school ways when it comes down to running my business. Don't get me wrong. Social media is a great tool. Exploit it, utilize it. But you have to have your backbone from real relationships. So that's what I really like, having real relationships. And a lot of these people who we service, they're not on social media. Like, they got real money or something. They're not on social media. So it has to come from just word of mouth or certain relationships that you have. And relationships will get you much further than any sort of talent that you have, believe it or not.
Yeah, because if you make sure maybe $20 here and there off social media, whatever, maybe if I have one client that's spending a couple $1,000, right? Like, I'd rather take the one who's spending a lot more than getting like, oh, this person like popped up and wanted something here and there.
And with social media, it's like some people get so hung up in like the follower thing. I always say I'd rather have 1,000 supporters than 10,000 followers, because you just got people following you. Are people actually supporting your business? Are these actually clients? Or you just have 10,000 followers? So depending on your business model, if you have something like an e-commerce store or something like that, yeah, that may work out for you having a lot of followers. But what I do is a very niche market and niche thing that we do. So having a gazillion followers for me, it doesn't really benefit me that much. It's just positioning myself to be found.
Let's talk about niche market, because you also do private jet catering. How did you get into that? And what is it like? Do you be walking around on planes while they're in the air?
No, I wish. I'm getting there. So that's still something very new that we started maybe about a year and a half ago, maybe about a year ago now. It was something I was extremely intrigued in. So I don't live far from a private airport. And I knew people who flew private, and I knew catering was needed. So I'm like, how can I get into that? So I just dug around. I did my research. I pulled up to the airport one time.
To the private airport?
And went in.
Oh, you be hustling those.
For sure. And
you pull up to the airport.
Made some calls, emailed some people, and they like, oh, this is the person that you talk to. This is the person that you talk to. It was an extremely nice lady who helped me out, and she just was like, yeah, sure, we'll put you on our list and stuff like that. So
what's the list?
So you have to have an account with, it's kind of like a vendor
A preferred vendor situation?
Sort of. So it's a private sector. So kind of like a concierge service. So like if you were to book a jet to Charlotte or coming out of Charlotte to say, they'll say, well, these are the companies that we partner with for catering, for transportation, for hoteling, or whatever the case may be. So I had to figure that out and talk to some people and build relationships to do it.
And you got on the list.
Got on it.
How does that work? Do you like drop the food off, or how does that work?
It's sporadic, so that's what we're trying to really kind of get a good feel for it. Maybe it's certain times. It's times where you may get it. It might pop up once or twice a month. Then it's times where it may come up 4 or 5 times a month. Certain things that's not worth it. Certain things will come up like small little like cheese and crackers kind of stuff. And I've done some cool little fruit boards and charcuterie boards and stuff like that.
The ladies love a charcuterie board.
Yeah,
okay.
for sure. But we don't take all of them that pop up. Some of them are super early times, or, hey, we have a jet leaving out tomorrow morning. It might be 6 in the evening. And they'd be like, tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. I'm like, I can't do it now. Yeah, so you'll get that request. You accept it. The company, whatever flight company pays you, and then you'll go to the airport. At Charlotte Douglas, we can't get on the runway because it's an international airport, but it's one in Concord that I really like going to. So that one, depending on the company, you can actually go on the plane and set up and everything like that.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so I've been able to do that a few times. It's super cool.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So you are very private. All your titles: private catering, private chef. Aside from obviously more high profile clientele who spend more money, what made you want to go the private route?
I just knew what I wanted to do probably wasn't going to fit the masses. And I knew what I was aiming to do, it was a certain price point. It was a certain level of understanding as well. So it was just like, again, it's a very niche market. It's not for everybody. So I knew it's like we really have to make it private in order to fit our business model per se. So that's why it's private. And you don't accept everything and stuff like that. All money isn't good money. So it's clients that we've had to break up with. And it's clients that just don't respect what we do. Like you put so much time into your social media or the website trying to give people an idea of what they get. And there were certain times it became super redundant. Like people have no clue what it is. People would come to the site and think it was like a restaurant. I'm like, no, it's not a restaurant. So you got to filter out and stuff like that.
Okay, so you've said we a couple times. When you say we, who's included in Chef Tez Catering?
So I have a very small but a strong team, I would like to say. So
small but mighty.
So my guy, Chef J, that's my right-hand man.
Okay.
Then from there, we bring on other parts to the puzzle. So I do have a few other chefs on my team, I would say, that we bring on when it's necessary. If we're doing something big, when we have more hands. If I'm not available to do it, I'll have another one of my chefs do it. So I like contract out a chef to do this event or this party. Chef Leah is a chef on my team. And there's been a few other chefs along the way that I work with, but we'll bring on bartenders, we'll bring on full service serving staff, digging for assistants and things of that right now. I've interviewed a few, but just trying to really scale the business and scale the team. It's hard. It's hard. It's very tough. You got to be careful who you put in position. So that's the kind of stuff that makes it hard. Is this the right person to bring on? Can they be trusted? Are they going to show up and be prompt? Because your name is on the line.
And don't be bringing no grocery bags.
No. So certain people can be great chefs, but they're not great on the business side. Or certain people can be great on the business side, but they're not great chefs. Or certain personalities don't match well and stuff like that. So that's a lot of things that I never talk about and people never know. That's very difficult to manage as well.
It's tough. I definitely know, having done business with family and friends and stuff before, it gets really tough to navigate because now there's duality in the relationship. Something I could have said to you as strictly business now has the context of friendship, and now it's emotionally charged. Where if we were just business partners, it wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been no, never mind.
And I mean, I don't really do business with close friends and family because of that. Even like doing business, like when I have friends that'll reach out like, hey, it's my birthday, like I'm looking to book you, like I kind of shy away from it because people want the homie hookup and stuff like that.
You don't do homie hookup?
No, it's hard because people don't understand. We actually, like maybe like 2 days ago, a good friend of mine, she was trying to put something together, and people will come like, yeah, I know you busy. They'll come with that spiel, and they're like, well, I'm not trying to spend da-da-da. And I'm like, I get it.
But that's how much I
it's
cost.
Somebody who is. So if I give you this prominent date, it's somebody who wants that same date and is trying to spend that. So just doing business, that's not good business. If I'm continuously giving hookups and discounts and shortchanging myself, I'll be in a bad position. So people don't understand that. You know, I got a long list of people like, I'm still waiting to get the, what's it called? Or can you cook this? I'm like, everywhere I go, I get asked that question every day.
How do you balance that? Because imaginably, there are people who have known you before you were Chef Tez, private catering, private jet catering, private all these things. How do you balance the relationships of, you are still who you are at your heart, and also, I'm not going to say my priorities have changed, but I mean, you said it, not me. Yeah. But the reality of my experience and how it shows up has changed. How do you balance those relationships while still being true to your friendships and true to your business?
It's tough. It's tough. It took me a while to figure it out. I had to cut some people loose because people don't know that my priorities have changed. My situation have changed. The same person that I was when I was the person who I was when I was 16 isn't the person who I am today. The person who I was when I was 21 or 22 isn't the person who I am today. And some people are still those people. So you...
And no shade.
No shade. But it's just like priorities have changed. Schedules have changed. Life has changed. So you don't fit in this circle that I have now or in this position that I have now. So it's tough. I went through that. You have survivor's remorse. You start feeling guilty that other people aren't able to succeed and thrive. People make you feel guilty. Some people blame you for it, for their failure. That was something I had to go through a couple years ago. It was tough situations with family, with super close friends, and I can't really tell you how I managed. It was just like put your head down and work. I'm not gonna say it didn't bother me, but it was just like I knew the goal. I didn't want to backtrack. I didn't want to waste time back and forth with certain people. So you just had to it was cold-hearted, but you had to just leave relationships where they were.
That's really tough. What does an average week look like for you in terms of your time commitments? Because imaginably, if you're showing up to people's home for private meals, you're in their regular schedule and routine, events are on the weekends, you really don't have too much time to show up for the non-work thing. So what does that look like for you?
Again, it's tough. If I would lie to say that I have a steady balance in my life, I don't. You go from not just the weekends. Of course, the weekends is the busiest for us in most cases, but it's now to where it was a Wednesday night, doing a dinner yesterday, sitting down and having meetings, doing venue walkthroughs during the weekend, doing tastings. Like people see just the dinners and the caterings, but catering a private flight early in the morning certain times, having to travel, like we travel certain times, so it's times where we got to get on the road super early, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You got to be up. So that means you got to be sleep early certain times. It's certain days where we're not actually on site working, but we're prepping, we're sourcing, ripping and running. So It's all over the place. I can't sit up here and say I have this steady balance. You try to make it work as best as you can, but my schedule is like the opposite of most people's schedule. Like even holidays, like every holiday we're working. That is Christmas, Thanksgiving, Valentine's, Easter, Mother's Day, 4th of July. Every holiday we work because those are the prominent dates for us. So even like every Christmas I've worked, every Thanksgiving I work. So when you're at your most leisure time where you hanging with your family, I'm working.
You're on high alert.
We're getting to it. So it can make relationships in all aspects difficult. Because
so what's her name? No, I'm joking.
it makes relationships in all aspects difficult. I'll say that.
Okay.
I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you do? How do you still make time for your friends and your family?
I've had clients that told me like you have to just cut it off. It's certain dates out of the year that you have to just not accept it. So like for instance, Jiho is greatest homecoming on earth, Aggie Pride. That's like one date out of the year that I'm like, it's non-negotiable. I work on my birthday most of the years. I'll get on a flight the next day. But Jiho is like homecoming is a non-negotiable.
Looking back over the past 6 years, do you have any clients or experiences that have reshaped how you think your business model or the services you provide?
Oh man, that's a good one. Absolutely. I've had clients that told me to know your worth more. Like, and I felt as though I did, but it was clients like, no, you're here with me on this date. You should have charged me this, or you should have did this. Like, I understand that it wouldn't have been more beneficial for me. It's going to be more beneficial for you, but you know more of your worth. Like, stuff like that when clients are telling you that, or say no, all money isn't good money. I've had to figure that out. I've had clients that have money, but they don't respect what you do. So unknowingly, they were kind of teaching me like, okay, you can't just throw money in my face and stuff like that. A lot of things don't get me angry, but when my time is disrespected or wasted, that's something that kind of, it gets me a little,
Okay.
So it's your time, and it's just the efforts that you put in. It's like how much time and effort this took us to do. And
do you know how much it took me to zest this lemon?
Zesting a lemon is not the easiest thing. You get
It's not.
You get the bad part of lemon in it. But yes, stuff like that has taught me like knowing your worth and reshaping your business model and things of that nature, and really trying to vet out who you take care of.
What would you say is the hardest part of being an entrepreneur?
Relationships falling the way they have, not having a set schedule, and having the discipline to get up and hold yourself accountable is probably one of the toughest things. Being motivated to do it, like, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm a human. It's times where I don't feel like doing some of this stuff. It was just snowing. It was cold last week. It didn't matter. Like, you got to get up. This bed is super comfortable. I got to get up. I got to get out of it. And I got to go do it. So that's tough, having the discipline and staying motivated. That's the part. Not just being motivated a few times a week or a few times a month. You have to consistently stay motivated, consistently outdo yourself, consistently stay disciplined. That is the part, being consistent in all of those levels, that is going to separate you from winning and failing.
Come on, Bishop. You can preach if you want to.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand that. I think if you are, trying to get into becoming an entrepreneur, having a side hustle, taking that leap of faith and believing in yourself, I think that's a tough part too. Like, having the confidence to say, like, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to get it done. Like, being confident enough to say that. I think I'm a confident person, but it took a lot to become that confident and to take that leap of faith to, like, okay, I'm going to do it. No matter what people say, no matter what people think, I'm gonna get it done.
I 100% resonate with it's difficult to hold yourself accountable. It's not school where somebody's giving me a grade. Like, nobody is going to make sure that I source the right sea bass for Kayla's birthday party other than me. Like, sure, I could do something lower quality, but is that who I am? Is that the service I want to provide? Like,
absolutely.
To be able to hold yourself accountable when other people aren't is very difficult. And
absolutely.
I definitely think that's a difficult piece of being an entrepreneur. I'll ask, have you ever considered quitting?
I think we all have. I think we all have moments to where it's like, why am I doing this? Like, you really like, why am I doing this? Just what time in the morning? I gotta go what? I gotta go do what? I gotta go where? Why am I doing this? But I love what I do. Genuinely, I love what I do. I'm blessed to be able to do the stuff that I'm able to do. Just work with the people I've worked with in the homes that we work with. Just create and control my own narrative. I'm blessed. So that's kind of like, no, you can't quit, man. When I have people, I know people, I have family, I have friends that they kind of make it like, bro, you don't understand. I have to go up and work for somebody else in the morning. I understand it's tough, but you do, this is you. That's my uniform and my brand that I put on every day. So when you start thinking of that, it's like, nah, I can't quit.
I love that for you.
Thank you.
I love that for you. How would you define a side hustler?
A side hustler?
A side hustler.
Somebody who hasn't committed to the full hustle yet. You side hustling it. We all have to go through it. But until you commit to the full thing, until you have both feet in, you are a side hustler. If you have one foot in and one foot out, you're a side hustler. Jump into your purpose. Jump into the business. Do what you have to do. And get out of that box. Become a business owner. Become an entrepreneur. Become your brand. Stop being a side hustler. Take that leap of faith. And it's nothing wrong with that. We have to go through it, but just don't get stuck there. That's all I'm trying to say.
You got to find your hustle.
Yeah, of course you have to find it. You have to somewhat master it. And once you don't get comfortable at that level, I'm working here and I'm doing this on the side. No, once you get to a certain point, this is my advice that I tell a lot of people. Get your back off the wall. If you're a side hustler or you're trying to figure it out, you have to get your back from off the wall. And what it'll do is make your vision clear and you'll be able to think. You're not going to shortchange yourself. You'll know your value and your worth. Because if your back is against the wall, you're just taking whatever people throwing at you. So I call it FU money. So you got to have your little FU money and a little FU stash to say, hey, that doesn't align with my business model. I know it's easier said than done, but you have to figure out a way to get you in a better position. If that's not going to the club, that's not buying the shoes, getting off Amazon, whatever the case may be, you have to get disciplined, get out of that situation to where you can really take that real leap of faith.
Okay, those are all the questions that I have for you.
Okay.
But in the spirit of this being the diary of a side hustler, we do have an actual diary, which you have already written in. And I would love for you to read a piece of what you wrote, if that's okay. Okay, I'll grab it. Okay, so I'm going to hand this to you.
All right.
And you had a prompt, so tell us what your prompt was.
So you asked me to write about a time that I had to let go of something I loved or wanted.
Okay, and you can read the full thing or you can read a piece of it, whichever.
I'll paraphrase, but we touched on it briefly. It was when I had to let go a lot of relationships in the past, from all aspects, friends, family, business-wise. I felt as though it was a tough weight on me. It was kind of like people holding me back or sinking me down or not pouring like positivity in me. I have friends that was just in different places in their life doing different things. And I knew I didn't want to get caught up in that just by simply just being in the car with certain people. And I had to let certain people go in my life. And it was certain people who wasn't a danger to me, but it was certain people who I knew like their mindset might kill me. So it was painful because it's those people that you've known for your whole life, and you just like, I just can't get caught up in certain things that's going on in your life and let them weigh mine down and stuff like that. So that's essentially what I wrote here.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Welcome to the Diary of a Side Hustler podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Brooks. Let's get into today's episode.